I want to begin this video by mentioning that this is not intended to be a foolproof guide about the best items to be brought in the stores. If anything, I will argue the opposite here, and show that there is no one perfect method to make purchase decisions in Arknights, and the ultimate decision lies in the hands of players themselves. Then why make this video? Well, not knowing the differences between different methods leads to confusion. For newer players, this manifests as poor purchase decisions. I have seen new players asking for store purchase guidance in Discord, and veteran players responding by telling them to clear the entire shop. This is a really poor response, because it entirely evades the subject of the question. The decision about what to buy in the store necessarily implies that the player is unable to buy everything, and have to sacrifice some items to buy others. A trade-off between items is involved, and it is the parameters on which the trade-off is based which determine a particular purchase decision method. In this video, I will discuss a number of parameters which influence store purchases for a player. These are not exhaustive, and only represent some of the factors that must be kept in mind while making purchase decisions. The hope is that once players are aware of what factors influence their decisions, they will be able to balance competing factors and make better decisions. So without further ado, let us begin. This video was initially going to be about the best items to buy specifically in the friend credit shop. However, while researching, I discovered that the GamePress website already featured a tier list of items based on the sanity per coin criterion. The maker of this list, username Elmo, has a spreadsheet featuring similar tier lists for all stores. The link is given in the description below. Anyways, I scrapped the video entirely, because I was going to include similar lists there. Instead, I decided to address the issue of item purchase in general. The concepts discussed in this video will be applicable to friend credit store, certificate store, and all event and CC stores. The first thing to note is that purchases depend on demand. Demand is self-explanatory, the question is demand for what? In Arknights, players will demand various resources depending on certain factors. For instance, building the base is in high demand by new players, since it helps in smooth account progression. However, veterans with a maxed out base do not need this anymore. Thus, an item like carbon brick is a resource greatly valuable for new players, since it directly caters to their need for building and developing the base. But for older ones, it has zero value. Similarly, sanity efficiency is in great demand by avid gamers, who want to maximize game time and resource income given the scarce supply of sanity. This is the underlying idea behind the sanity per coin criterion, which shows players how much sanity they save by investing their currency. There are some obvious disadvantages of this criterion. In the context of demand, sanity efficiency is entirely irrelevant for casual players, who may not be able to clear their daily sanity quota, or are uninterested in optimal long-term account progression. It is my belief that the overwhelming dependence on sanity efficiency in the Arknights community tends to alienate the casual player base. If they blindly follow the tier lists, they will have no idea why they are buying what they are buying, and it might go counter to their actual demands. If they do not follow anything, they will simply buy items arbitrarily, which is not good either. It is important that players have a fairly good idea of what it is they want when going to the store. The second factor that influences purchase decisions is the act of translation. This means choosing some metric which acts as a common denominator for the value of various items in the store. Going back to the sanity per coin concept, it helps to compare the items on the basis of sanity efficiency. Players can easily create a list to see which items best cater to their needs. Obviously, this concept becomes useless when trying to evaluate items which cannot be farmed through normal methods, like recruitment permits or operator tokens. Once again, players deciding whether to buy a welfare token will be left with no reliable measures to compare it with other items. This necessitates the need to come up with alternative metrics which can help to translate the values of various items. Of course, the metric used must be such that it helps to satisfy the demand of the player. It is not my intention here to create a complete list of such metrics. Instead, I want to create a framework which can be used by the community to develop multiple such metrics. I have already developed the framework, and now I will present an example to clarify my point. For players who do not get enough time to play Arknights properly, it is essential that they get maximum rewards from the little time they play for. The reward system of Arknights so makes it that certain items can be farmed very easily, while others can be hard to get. Thus these players will have a higher demand for items which are harder to get in-game. This can be the basis for a metric representing the rarity of items. At the top of this list will be items which can only be obtained through special means. These include orandom, headhunting permits, recruitment permits and welfare tokens. The supply of these items is extremely limited, and the store is a good opportunity to lap these up. Next are the tier 4 and higher materials. These items have low or zero drop rates, and are usually produced in the workshop by combining lots of low rarity items. It may take casual players a very long time to get these items through the workshop, while events will directly reward them these sweet items for clearing a few stages. Third are the T3 materials which cannot be produced in the workshop, along with blue skill summaries, chips and white EXP cards. These items can only be obtained through farming story and supply stages and require high sanity investment. To see which materials cannot be produced in the workshop, click on that item and you will see all possible methods to produce or farm them. Then we have items which can both be produced in the base as well as farmed from stages. These include some T3, all T2 mats, skill summaries and EXP cards. They require low sanity and are also available in the friend credit shop. Last, we have the tier 1 mats. These are often gifted through login rewards and obtained as byproducts from farming for higher rarity mats. These should be the lowest priority in the store. There are certain materials for which exceptions to the rule can be made. LMD, gold and furniture parts are gifted out abundantly. However, it may not be enough for some players. The same applies to materials needed for any operator leveling the player plans to do immediately. In these situations, these items will be higher up the priority list. The list that I have made is for general use, based on certain assumptions and criteria, and players can make modifications as they see fit. They can also come up with other lists based on their own criteria. My aim here is to provide a framework with which players can start making their own decisions, instead of relying on tier lists or remaining confused. Identifying their needs and choosing suitable metrics to compare items is the first step. I have provided one example of how this can be done, by developing an alternative to the sanity efficiency metric. Each player has their own unique needs, and just like the tower defense part of the game, they will need to strategize how to best achieve their goals with given resources. If you have any questions, ask them in the comments. Until next time, take care.